Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. My name is Sofia Hayati Yusoff from University Science Islam Malaysia. So today I will be presenting for Icosah 2022. So my paper entitled exploring the relationship between internet usage and subjective well-being among university students. Okay, this research was conducted actually last year during the when all classes were conducted online. Okay, so just right after the COVID-19. And even the initial research was conducted during the COVID. So for the introduction, online communication is becoming increasingly common, not only in working sectors, but actually also among college students. So this is also not, there is no exception for Malaysia. Malaysia also includes, included in the increasing number of online communication. So based on the Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commission, MCMC, in 2020 alone, based on more than 80% internet users among Malaysians, and in that number, okay, more than half of the numbers belong to young users, okay. And a study claims that the satisfaction of psychological needs in internet usage or online communication can promote the subjective well-being. And a number of studies done by many researchers on the internet usage and the relationship with the youth, they found that active internet users, 35.2% of Malaysian teenagers, okay, the youth, spent about 24 to 63 hours using the internet in a week. That is about 3.5 to 9 hours per day. So this claim is further backed up by the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, or MCMC, where they highlighted that 53.6% of youth aged between 20 to 34 years old spent more time on the internet compared to 35.1% of adults in Malaysia. Okay, so frequent internet usage undoubtedly has favorable effects on socio-economic habits of youngsters, yet it also has several detrimental effects as well. So scholars have differing views on the impact of internet use on the well-being of youth. Okay, so some scholars confirm that internet use improves economic well-being, and in comparison, some other scholars discovered that internet use has a detrimental impact on social well-being. So the purpose of using internet is countless, from communication, information, entertainment, and even safe interaction for some, because internet can provide a safe and friendly environment, especially for individuals that suffer from social anxiety. So in addition, there is limited research on relationship between internet usage and subjective well-being among university students, especially in Malaysia. So most of the study focusing on subjective well-being impact on others' part of life. One of the studies about subjective well-being has been conducted by Khairuddin in 2017, that studying on dimension of happiness among Malay youth. And other than that, there are studies that research about internet in Malaysia, impacts of internet addiction towards academic achievement, and negative impact of internet addiction towards adolescent. So this study, on the other hand, aims to fulfill the lacking by investigating more on the relationship between internet usage and subjective well-being among university students. So based on the objectives that I have laid down with my co-researcher, we came up with the following research question. Number one, what is the influence of internet use among university students? And what is the level of subjective well-being among university students. And the last objective, is there any association between internet use and subjective well-being? Okay. So for the literature review, the use of internet grants its users great awareness of the importance of the world around them. The internet is a platform for several types of information, and it is used by students, including university students. So internet usage will continue to grow as long as its users are not denied easy access. And recent statistics indicate that the internet gives people the option to access information sites as well as other sites such as social media sites, internet games, and cyber sites. So some studies on the influence of internet usage on academic performance, face-to-face communication revealed that as a result of the availability of internet, most students have had access to internet on their cell phones or smartphones. So this helps students to broaden their academic knowledge. And the use of computer and access to online resources are comparatively important to university students. However, subjective well-being is also important, especially for students where internet use is a must. But the question appears on how much the level of subjective well-being and how to know their level of subjective well-being. Positive flourishing in biological, emotional, mental, spiritual, social, and relationship domains plays an important part in achieving subjective well-being. So in this modern society where internet use becomes broader, the questions of does internet use makes life better or worse need to be asked and investigated. The relationship between video games usage, video game addiction, compulsive internet use, and subjective well-being. And these have been done by a number of researchers before this. Okay. For the methodology, in this research, the researcher applied quantitative method where correlational study was used in collecting data for the research. My co-researcher and I collected data using survey method from the participants, and this study used descriptive and correlational design. We used one set of questionnaires, which is compulsive internet use scale, CIUS, and flourishing scale, FS. In terms of sampling, we chose respondents among communication students, undergraduate communication students from University Science Islam Malaysia, located in Nilai, Negeri Sembilan. And in this study, 100 respondents consisted from male and female students doing communication program from year 1 until year 4 were randomly participated in this survey or randomly selected. Okay. And Google Form was used as this research was conducted during the MCO, Movement Control Order, due to COVID-19 pandemic. And the research instruments for this research is questionnaire and consists of 3 sections. The first section is demographic data. Second section is compulsive internet usage scale. And the last section consists of flourishing scale. In order for us to know the relationship between internet usage and subjective well-being among USIM communication students, the data analyzed using correlational method, which is Pearson correlation. And all the data was analyzed by using SPSS to 20.0. Okay. And the data were presented using the scatter plots, graph, and correlation matrices, a table that showed the correlation among the relationship between internet usage and subjective well-being. Okay, for the results, based on the demographic data, most of the respondents were actually female students, about 61%, and the rest were the male students. In terms of the age of the respondents, okay, they were among year 1 until year 4. So the age between 19 and up to 27 years old. Okay, and based on that, most respondents were actually between 21 to 23 years old, about 65% of them. And the least recorded age for our respondents is between 18 to 20 years old, about 15% of them. And then the rest, 20%, between 24 to 26 years old. Okay. For the first objective, to examine the influence of internet usage used among communication students in USIM, as part of the highest mean score in this study, we found that the effective item on the usage of internet is strongly agreed is actually item 14, which we asked them the feel of restless or frustrated when they cannot use the internet. Okay, so the standard deviation, the mean is 3.77 and the standard deviation is 1.278. While the item number 13, which the question is, does internet help them in escaping the feeling of sorrow or get relief from negative feelings? Okay, where we get the mean score is 3.55 and standard deviation is 1.290. And the item number 2, do they continue to use the internet despite the intention to stop, and which is the difficulty from stopping using the internet while they are online? Okay, for this item, we got the mean score 3.5 and standard deviation 1.367. So item 14 shows the highest mean score, which is the feel of restless or frustrated or irritated when they cannot use the internet. This era of digitalization has proven that anything is in everyone's hands. All sorts of information or entertainment are all in their communication technology devices, such as smartphones, laptops, tablets, etc. Plus, after the government implemented e-learning or online education in the educational process in Malaysia during the period of the COVID-19 pandemic, students and teachers took full advantage of the use of the internet by implementing online learning. So this process has encouraged the young students or the university students to use the internet and make them their must-have items. Similar to a study conducted by Hadlington and Skase in 2018, where they carried out a research on 630 participants aged between 18 years old to 68 years old, where they completed an online questionnaire in which they self-reported their responses to failures in digital technology, fear of missing out, internet addiction, and answered questions that scored them on the big 5 personality traits, that is extraversion, agreeableness, openness, conscientiousness, and neuroticism. So the results showed that the fear of missing out, internet addiction, extroversion, and neuroticism all have a significantly positive influence on maladaptive responses, meaning the people most psychologically dependent on digital technology are most likely to have maladaptive responses when it goes wrong. They also showed a link between age and response. As age increases, the level of frustration that a person experiences decreases. So for item number 13, which is, does the internet help them in escaping the feeling of sorrow or get relief from negative feelings? The result shows a high amount of students using the internet as their main source to find amusing contents as their entertainment to relieve stress and escape from the hardship of reality for a while. Consequently, by using the students who can access social media that lays substantial influence on different aspects of present digital life apart from online communication, from marketing to politics to education to health to basic human interaction. So in many of these areas, social media presents clear benefits. However, social media phenomenon is relatively new. Number of empirical studies evaluated the overall influence of regular use of social media on the well-being and mental health of its users. So students who feel really self-conscious and nervous about being their true self in their school or home setting, or who are struggling with depression or anxiety, but do not know how to talk about it with their families and other friends, can find a particularly strong sense of support from the safe anonymity of social media communities. Plus, teens use social media to stay rooted in optimism and inspiration by posting something they are grateful for daily, inspirational quotes or images, and also following hashtags and people that do something similar. So in the past several months, anything that can be released and help the community laugh, as long as it is not unkind, has felt positive. So this includes dance videos, making and sharing videos such as TikTok and Instagram that help them laugh during the hard times. While for item 2, do they continue to use the internet despite the intention to stop? Nowadays, internet consists of various forms of needs needed by human beings, okay? Various forms of information, entertainment, skills, software, and technology are all in the internet. Therefore, it is no doubt that whether a student or youngsters will continue surfing the internet, the development of the internet today is primarily characterized by instant mobile communication. So the mobile internet is a new revolution. Comprehensive internet connectivity via smartphones and tablets is increasingly becoming a mobile reality. So we are all in the cloud without being tied to a particular device. So the statement above also has supported with mobile internet use alters the pattern of device usage. Okay, so the smartphone activities taking up the most, that is over 3 hours a day, including instant messaging, 38%, social media use, 35%, listening to music, 24%, and web browsing, 20%. So the activities taking up the least time, under 5 minutes a day, are actually SMS texting, 51%, watching movies, 43%, reading and writing emails, 38%, and talking on the phone, 32%. Meanwhile, the lowest mean score in this study for objective number 1 is less agreeable by the respondents with item number 5. Does internet causing them short of sleep? Okay, where the mean score is 2.54 and standard deviation 1.351. Okay, for the item 4, do you prefer the internet instead of spending time with others? For example, friends or families, okay, where we got the result of mean score 2.58 and standard deviation 1.304. And item number 6, do you think about the internet even when not online? And the mean score is 2.6 and standard deviation is 1.378. Okay, for the second objective of this research, that is to identify the level of subjective well-being among communication students at USIM, as part of the highest mean score in this study, found that the effective item on subjective well-being is strongly agreed by the respondents with item number 6, which is they are a good person and lives in a good life, where the mean score is 5.41 and standard deviation is 1.45. For item number 8, which is the people respect them, the mean score we got is 5.21, and the item number 1, which is they lead a purposeful and meaningful of life, we got the score of the mean score of 4.77 and standard deviation 1.808. Item 6 shows the highest mean score, which is they are a good person and lives in a good life. So this means they are surrounded around positive people with the same vibes. Okay, the respondents show that they managed to determine what is good for them and the people around them. Among the strongest and most important predictors of subjective well-being is the presence of positive social relationships. Okay. Next, item 8, which is the people respect them. There are few reasons from the view that people are respecting someone. For example, the person may have a great personality traits and have attracted people to work with them. So therefore, the person have been accepted in his circle because of his positive values and the vibes that he brings along. Okay, and for agreeableness refers to being honest, trustworthy, modest, and compliant, tender-minded, and altruistic. So people high in conscientiousness tend to be orderly, self-disciplined, achieving, striving, deliberate, dutiful, and competent. So it would seem that persons high on both agreeableness and conscientiousness will be able to navigate social and vocational situations far more successful than those low on both traits. Okay, for example, a study by Weir, Sukayama and Koch in 2012 found that conscientiousness predicted objective indicators of success, such as income and wealth, as well as multiple indicators of well-being. However, other factors related to individual differences were often more important to success than conscientiousness. As with many variables in positive psychology, it is possible to be too conscientious. All right. While for the third objective, a Pearson product moment correlation coefficient was computed to assess the relationship between subjective well-being and internet usage among communication students studying in University Science Islam Malaysia. And there was a positive correlation between the two variables, okay? Where we got the p-value of 0.000. A scatter plot summarizes the result, and the overall, there was a strong positive correlation between subjective well-being and internet usage, and it increases in subjective well-being were correlated with increases in internet usage. So in conclusion, academic performance can be influenced by many factors, especially for university students. One of the influences of the academic performance is psychological well-being. In reality, mental health or mental well-being is a term used to describe a special objective for society. Based on its own criteria, every culture tries to provide mental health for the individuals, especially both children and adults of its society. Internet undeniably being one of the best platforms in this world to find information, to gain knowledge, to make friends, and even to make business. As a whole, internet has been a useful and helpful platform in making an individual's life easier than before. As time goes by, internet had been used by everyone in this world, even the young kids, and it has become something familiar in life. However, internet has both its advantages and disadvantages towards the users, even from well-being, even in terms of well-being aspects. Okay, so I think that's it for my presentation. If you have any questions, any queries to ask related to the research, you can always email me at sofia@usim.edu.my. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.